Yesterday, the U.S. Supreme Court moved up a deadline for Pennsylvania officials to respond to a lawsuit, an appeal from U.S. Congressman Mike Kelly, who has argued Pennsylvania's vote-by-mail law is constitutional, and that every mail ballot cast in the state should be rejected. Joining me to talk more about this is the president of Landmark Legal Foundation that is involved in this lawsuit, Pete Hutchison. Pete, welcome to Washington Watch.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you having me.
Well, Pete, some are arguing that this decision by Justice Alito is significant because of the timing. Is that so?
Well, the fact that Justice Alito asked for a response at all is significant. It would have been very easy if he did not think there was any merit in this appeal to simply dismiss it. But inviting or giving a deadline to the Commonwealth to file a response is significant, indeed.
Well, in the timing of it, by moving it up a day, some are suggesting that this new deadline falls on the same day as the safe harbor date, which deals with electoral, the nomination and confirmation of electors. And so that this gives time for the court to decide something before Pennsylvania makes action on that front.
Well, that's an interesting point, and it's a good one. If they could decide the whole thing tomorrow, I suppose. And but the safe harbor provision is not an end-all, be-all. It doesn't mean that Pennsylvania is not going to be able to cast its presidential electors as it is lawfully determined that they should be cast. But it is an important deadline, but it's not. I don't read too much into it, to be honest.
So, what is at the heart of the challenge of Congressman Kelly's appeal regarding the state's mail-in ballot law?
Well, now this is a very significant challenge. This isn't, sort of vague claims of conspiracies and that sort of thing. What this is a constitutional challenge based on the Pennsylvania Constitution that specifies when a person can vote absentee or in a mail situation. The Constitution is very clear. There's very limited situation. But the legislature last year expanded the opportunities for mail-in voting dramatically, and then the state Supreme Court, just ahead of the election, expanded it even further. Both of those actions were unconstitutional under Pennsylvania law. Now, where the federal Supreme Court comes in is under the U.S. Constitution. Legislatures are given exclusive authority to set the rules for choosing presidential electors, but they are limited in how they do that by their state constitutions. And so that's the issue on appeal here. And it's a legitimate challenge, and it's an important one. Because go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, Pete, so basically it is they didn't play by the rules that are established in the Constitution.
That's right. They set their own rules, and it's interesting that the state legislature, it's very complicated to amend the Pennsylvania Constitution, and the state legislature initiated that process 2 years ago to allow for some expanded absentee and mail voting. But that process has not been completed, and it's an indication that they understood or understand that what they've done in this legislation allowing mail-in voting for the presidential election was unconstitutional under their own law. So they understood that they were doing something unlawful, and shame on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court for not only allowing them to go forward, but to make it even worse by expanding it further. That's
Now,
unlawful activity that ought to be rejected by the U.S. Supreme Court because it implicates the federal Constitution and the choice of the president.
Now, Pete, very quickly, we're almost out of time, but the Pennsylvania officials are saying, well, Mike Kelly should have done something earlier. He waited until after the election and his favorite candidate, lost.
Well, under their state law, the way they've interpreted it, if he would have tried to do something earlier, they would have thrown it out and said, you're too soon, you're too early. Now they're saying
he didn't
you're
have
too
standing.
late. That's right.
They would have said that you don't have standing. So he's doing it
That's
now
right.
that he has standing.
That's right.
Well,
so he was
Pete, thanks so much for thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for representing Mike Kelly in this lawsuit.
Okay.
I think it is important. I think it is important that we operate according to the rules. The Constitution is the agreement by which the people agree to be governed, and everybody has to operate within those boundaries.